You know, the problem with opinions is not that everybody has one. The problem with opinions is that everybody believes theirs is factual. Well, sabadi ton sao, brothers and sisters, or sabadi ton bai, or sabadi ton lang, depending on what time of day you're watching this. Welcome to Mission Zero. If this is your first time here, my name is Shawn, and this is The Word with Friends, the show where we take a deep dive into language and communications in order to bring us all closer together. The word that I think we need to talk about today is one that seems a little innocuous at first, but it's actually incredibly important, and that is the word doctrine. Okay, so the English word doctrine comes from a Latin word docere. And docere is actually the same word that the word doctor comes from. And docere just means to teach. What does that tell you about what doctrine is? Well, not a whole lot. So let's dive into the Hebrew. In Hebrew, there are two words that are rendered doctrine, and one of them is lekach, and lekach comes from lakach, and lakach means to seize or to grasp for your own. The other one is musar, and musar comes from yasar, and yasar means to be disciplined or to be corrected. So what you get then is these two ideas. They are both something that you have learned, but one of them is something that you have learned because it's been beaten into you as a punishment. The other is something that you chased after until you seized it for your own. This gets us into what I really want to talk about today, which is the difference between good doctrine and bad doctrine. Okay. So particularly for people that are church-going, the words good doctrine and bad doctrine get thrown around quite a whole lot. But I think 99.99% of people who say the words bad doctrine have actually no idea what it is that they're saying because they're not thinking about their language. If a doctrine is a thing that you've learned, and there's two kinds of things you can learn, the things that you learn through punishment and the things you learn because you seize them for yourself, then bad doctrine has to mean that you seized something for yourself that was incorrect. Now, here's the thing about that. If I'm a teacher and I'm explaining something to you, I have some responsibility to construct my words in a way that you have a chance of getting what I meant out of it. But we've talked about this a bunch of times. What I say and what you hear are not always the same thing. And so if you, the student, are listening for something that I didn't say, or you're listening to what I say with your own biases, you will seize for yourself something that is not what I taught. And this is really, really more key than you think it is. I can teach something bad that's a bad message. I can teach something that's a good message in a bad way, or I can teach a good message in a good way, and you still can pull something bad from it. But by the same token, I can teach a bad message or teach it in a bad way, and you can still get something positive from it if your outlook as a student is calibrated properly. And this is really where it gets critical, because the teacher-student relationship is always a contract, and that contract says, I have the onus to do my part to ensure that I'm teaching a good message and that I'm teaching it in a good way, and you have the onus as the student to filter that in a good way. I talked in Battle Cry on Monday about the duality of people and how we get to choose good or bad. We get to choose how we apply something. And knowledge, things that we learn, is exactly the same. What I'm really trying to get to today, the kernel of knowledge that I'm trying to embed in you, one part is that we have got to watch how we are learning. Because when you start to see that everything people are teaching is corrupt, maybe it's not the teaching that's corrupt. And the other is that as a good student, you still have to be selective about your teachers. You still have to be careful what you bring in. And the Bible actually tells you this. Be careful what you bring into your heart and into your mind. That's my exhortation for us today. Give a little more grace. Take a little more time to analyze your motivations and the things that you're hearing, and other people's motivations and the things that they're teaching. Because as my high school economics teacher said, you will see what you want to see and you will hear what you want to hear. And so we need to be sure that we're not allowing those biases to corrupt the communications between us and the relationships between us. Take that today. I know the message is a little amorphous, but take it and whatever piece of it rings to you and use it to become even you-ier than you were before. And may God pour out the blessings of discernment and understanding and perspective in you that are so necessary to carry through this world where we are all learning and we are all teaching constantly. And I love you so, so much. Peace out.